Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and quick review of the TW64. This is a Bluetooth 4.0 smart fitness tracker that connects wirelessly into any iOS or Android smartphone, and the best part of this fitness tracker is its price. It sells on Amazon and through other online vendors for only $15 and under, so it's one of the least expensive designs you can currently purchase. One of the things to note, though, is it comes with a proprietary charger, so it's something that is not standard. It doesn't use a micro USB cable or anything like that, so you should probably not lose this. If you do, you're a bit out of luck and you have to shell out some extra cash just to get it. We'll talk about the logistics of the charging cable a little bit more later on, but for now let's go over the design of the unit. It uses a soft silicone band, which is pretty stretchy and comfortable. It's a universal band as well, so it fits with both men and women as well as for children. And you have multiple adjustments as well as a metallic aluminum clasp that tightens up the entire band. It uses two of these metal tips for an extra secure fit. Otherwise, the actual watch itself doesn't have a heart rate monitor or anything fancy like that, so it allows you to measure your steps and also tracks the calories you've burned, the distance you've walked, after you've entered some preliminary data like your height and your step length into the built-in application, which is free to download with a phone. There's a QR code located on the box that you need to use for accessing that application. Otherwise, it also tracks your sleep, although that's not the most accurate feature in the world. It still is kind of nice to know when you're sleeping in a deep sleep, when you're in a light sleep, and it tracks that pattern based on the movements or using the accelerometer on board. The device itself also does give you some notifications, so if you have an incoming call, if you have a new text message, as well as an SMS or a QQ or WeChat account tied to the phone, it's actually going to beep and tell you a few lines of what is being displayed. So it's not going to have the complete line just because the OLED screen in front here is quite small as far as readability is concerned, but it is OLED, which means it is fairly readable even under direct sunlight, and it does use very little power. Fully charging the unit only takes about 2 hours to complete, and a full charge lasted me roughly 8 to 9 days before I needed to recharge it again. So battery life is one of the strengths on here, and of course it uses that rechargeable lithium-ion battery as opposed to a physical one that you have to swap out when it dies. Otherwise, the unit itself also does have a vibration kind of sensor on board, so it will vibrate whenever you have a new call or a text. There's also a sedentary function, so if you've been sitting for 30 minutes, it's automatically going to vibrate and tell you to get up and move. There's just one control on the left of the unit, which is tactile and responsive, and you use it to navigate through the main menu and cycle through the various features like the distance, the steps you've taken, the pedometer, and so on and so forth. You'll notice that the screen sometimes comes on by itself because it also uses the motion sensor to detect when you're wearing this on your wrist. When you bring it up to your face, the screen automatically lights up, which is a handy feature to have so you don't have to tap on the power key every single time when you want to check out the time or some basic info. So taking a look at the menu of the unit next, you see that there's the date displayed, if Bluetooth is connected, the battery status, as well as the time information. You can select between 12-hour and 24-hour formats when you go into the settings of the app. Pressing it again goes through the steps you've taken. That's a little bit of a footstep. This is the distance you've gone, the calories you've burned, and then goes all the way back to the main menu. You can also start a stopwatch function by holding the key down for a few seconds, and that starts a stopwatch, which you can also use to record any bursts of movement. Maybe if you're in a race, you want to record how many steps you've taken or calories specifically in, let's say, 5 minutes or let's say 30 seconds. That is a handy feature to have as well. So overall, the interface is nice and clean. It's a simple presentation without too many extras on board, but it's easy to understand. In terms of size, it's about the same as other fitness trackers on the market. It almost resembles maybe some products made by Garmin or perhaps Fitbit in terms of the style. It doesn't attract too many fingerprints, and it seems like it's rather clean. So over here we have the Vidon X6. It's a bit more expensive, but you can see how size-wise they are very comparable. This is a bit wider, the D64. This might represent, let's say, a misfit flash or a misfit shine, and you can see the size difference here as well. So it's not anything too bulky or too large, and as far as wearables go, it's rather lightweight. It's not going to weigh you down, and it's about the same size as a regular watch, I'd say. Otherwise, to charge the unit, I found that it's often easier to remove the actual sensor part from the band, which can be swapped out for other colors. It comes in a number of different colors if you want to purchase extras, and the actual sensor part as well as the battery is integrated into this little plastic compartment. It's shaped like a wedge and it has an angular shape to it, and the back features the 3 contact pins for you to use with the dock. Again, you simply pop this up and any orientation will actually work. It's pretty sensitive and again charges it up in under 2 hours. And once you're finished, put it back into the watch, and it tends to work rather well. If you want to charge it directly, that's also possible, but it's a little bit tougher just because the pens are a bit more recessed and integrated deeper into the rubber, so it's tighter to get a very secure fit. Other things to quickly note about the design of the 64 includes that it's not fully waterproof, so don't take it for a swim, but it is splash resistant as well as light rain resistant, so that's something to just quickly note. Next, I'm going to show you guys. The app itself is called Day Band. Again, it's a free download from the Play Store or from the iOS store. And a lot of parts are probably still translated from Chinese, so they're not completely fluent, but overall it is pretty easy to understand. It doesn't have as much rich functionality as a more expensive fitness tracker, perhaps by Fitbit or Garmin, but it more than does the trick for a budget $15 fitness tracking device. So you can see that the interface is quite easy to understand. The front just features the number of steps you've taken, the goal that you can program and set. I have it at 10,000 steps right now. I haven't moved, so it shows that the distance is 0 kilometers, calories is 0, and also shows your sleep quality as well. I can tap on the center here to get a more accurate readout, as well as historical data through the week and through the month. I can also share that with friends and family by tapping on the share key up above. It shows also a pretty graphically attractive interface overall. I can slide to the right to check out my specific sleep data, including the light sleep, deep sleep, and when I've been awake, and that does work pretty well, even though that the sleep tracking is a little iffy as far as the data is concerned. Sometimes it's a bit too sensitive with tracking motion, so it says that I haven't really slept enough, even though I know I've slept for, let's say, 8 hours, and another fitness tracker that I've been wearing with me at the same time shows that, I've been asleep for longer as well. So a little bit of an oversensitive thing going on, but you can hopefully change that in future iterations as they roll up more of the software settings and updates for the unit itself. Tapping on top there, the settings icon brings up things like personal information. You can set your name, your height, your step length, so it gets a more accurate account of your movements. There's also ability for you to search up your device, to repair it through Bluetooth. In terms of push messaging, it tells you when you want to be alerted if you get a new message. It also has a functionality for picture taking, so you can pair it with your device and take images and use this as a Bluetooth selfie camera or a Bluetooth remote, and you can tap on the key over here to take a shot with your camera, which works pretty well. It's a nice feature to have. And finally, there's an about that tells you more about the settings, the firmware version, and so on and so forth. The top right hand corner over here allows you to take a look at a map view, so you can kind of see in terms of the distance that you've walked. So when you have access to internet, it's going to record the path that you've taken and use the phone GPS antenna to record the track. So that's a pretty cool function. It kind of rivals some of Garmin's more expensive fitness trackers as well, and it shows you again your record, your steps, and you can overlay it through a different filter for different map effects, and you can also search through your settings that way as well. So that's basically the app. Again, it's a pretty simple and straightforward interface. The first time that you turn it on, it's going to pair it and then asks for your personal information, creating an account when you input your email status as well as your age, your step length, and then your height. And that's all the information it asks for in addition to your gender. So pretty basic and straightforward experience. At the end of the day, the TW64 Bluetooth smartwatch, I think, is a better smartwatch than I initially expected when I first picked it up, because at $15 I really wasn't expecting too much. The design seems much more expensive, and although it does have a few flaws, such as the use of a proprietary charging cable that's quite recessed and you have to remove it each time to charge it, as well as the fact that the sleep tracking seems a little bit iffy, overall this is a pretty decent smart fitness tracker. It works well in terms of your step count, and the app itself is also nicely integrated as well as nicely designed. So I think that for most folks on a budget, if you're looking to pick one of this up for kids, or perhaps you just want to see what a smart fitness tracker slash smartwatch can do before investing in a more expensive model, this is certainly something to consider trying out. You can learn more information about this unit in our official written review, which has a bit more data about the performance and the tests that we ran. But this has been our video. Thanks for watching. Here are OS reviews.